Hi you guys, welcome to my little paintbrush. My name is Miss Cami and today we get to paint a sloth, but not any sloth. The sloth is stuck in a donut. So two of my favorite things, donuts and sloths. I hope you're excited and I want to remind you that you can pause and rewind this video if I'm going too fast. Paint at your own pace, don't rush, and change anything you want. Change the colors, change the decorations on your donut, whatever you want to do. This is your painting, make it your own, okay? Let's grab a nice flat brush and just get right into it. I'm going to swish that around in some clean water, loosen the bristles, and start with my background. So I'm going to grab some white and some of my teal here and mix it together to make a nice light background color. I want to go pretty light with this. This is a very light piece, and so I'm going to go pretty light here. And then I'm just going to fill it in with my flat. Now, if you are painting on a wrapped canvas, I encourage you to wrap your edges as you go. This will give you a nice completed piece that you can display, and it's all set for you. You won't have to worry about those edges bugging you every time you see it. So we're just going around our donut here in our cute sloth. Remember that your brush does need water, so anytime you start to feel like you're painting with a sticky glue consistency, you can just add water to your brush and mix that water into your paint. If you get a little bit of your background color in the donut or the sloth, don't stop and panic, just keep painting. Let it dry, let it recover, and then we'll go over it, okay? The only time you really need to panic is if you're using a very dark color and it's going where there's going to be a really light color. Then you might want to stop and see if you can wipe it up or something like that. But for the most part, you can always fix things as you go. Okay, so we've got our background in. Pretty quick because it's not a very big space. Before I wash out my brush, I'll put some white on an end like that. If you've painted with us a long time, you know this is something we do with almost every painting. And really the idea behind this is to give some dimension to your painting, but also to draw the eye to the subject matter, which in this case is this adorable sloth and donut. Okay, so that's the idea of this portion of the painting. Just takes away from that really flat looking background, gives it some life. And sometimes it just kind of gives a glow to your painting, and again brings everyone's attention to the star of the show. Okay, so all done with that. Now we can give our brush a good wash. Swish that around really nice. Now I'm going to work on my donut next. The actual cake part of the donut, not the frosting, because as I'm doing that cake part, it might go into my frosting, and I'm going to be okay with that, okay? Because I just want to not concern myself with it. So I'm going to switch to a smaller flat for this, and I'm going to make my donut color. So I'm going to grab some of this gold and come over to the brown and mix these two together a little bit, okay? And once I mix those two, I'm going to scoop a bunch of white up and start to mix that in there, okay? I'm just going to keep mixing until I have the color that I want, okay? And I really like this tannish color for my donut, but I don't want it to pull too pink, and it will pull pink, and that's why I'm adding this gold in there. Now, it's going to dry a little bit darker on your canvas, so make sure you add plenty of white, and just keep in mind it'll be a shade or two darker once it dries. Okay, so now we're going to use this and go all the way around our donut, and keep in mind, we've already discussed it, if it gets into our frosting portion of the painting, it is okay because we haven't even started that yet, and we're not going to panic yet. But this is tricky because it is a circle, and so you really want to flatten that brush out, and that's why we're going to do this part first and then go into the frosting part, and allow ourselves to have that flat brush when we need it. Not worry too much about that. So we'll come up, we've got these little arms and hands that we're working around a little bit. And again, we can get into those portions if we have to as well. It's okay. And then we've got a nice skinny little area here that we've got to fill in. So if we get into our sloth, it's okay. Just keep telling yourself it's okay. It's not finished yet, right? Got a nice big chunk in my background. I don't like that, so I'll just kind of wipe that off. Sometimes that happens. We can add some turquoise there later if we want to. We can just give it a little wipe right now. Okay, so that is in there. And before we move on, we're going to put that brown on the edge of our brush, just like this, okay? And we're going to take that edge and we're going to follow our donut. Now this is the final coat of paint between the donut and the background. So this is your cleanup step. You want to keep that in mind. Typically we would maybe have an outline portion of the painting where we go through and we outline and we clean up that way. This is the actual, there's no outlining, this is the actual cleanup portion. So I'm going to pay attention and try and get a nice clean edge as best as I can. Okay. It's not going to be perfect because it's hand painted, and I have to continue to remind myself that often. You probably do too. It's okay that it's not perfect, but we can do our very best here. Okay, and that's all we can do. And of course you can go back and outline if you want, but my original piece and my creation, my idea of this was to not have any harsh lines, and so I'm going to do my best to stick with that, okay? Although I do tend to like to outline because I do like those super clean edges myself, so totally understand. Right here we're going to kind of try and go on our toe of the brush, and it's going to be darker right there, and that's okay. Just creating that shadow. Okay. Doing our best. Getting into the sloth if we need to ensure a nice edge going up. Okay, awesome. That wasn't too bad. I feeling good with that. Okay. Let's rinse out with that brush. And I'm going to go back to my flat for the frosting because it's a bigger portion. Okay, so I'm going to get some white, bring it down to my pink, and I'm going to lighten. I've got a nice light pink frosting. Okay, so I'm probably going to need another scoop there of that white. I want to keep a portion of my pink dark though, because I want to shadow in my frosting as well. And so you want to have those two values at your disposal. You got your light, you got your dark. Okay, once I have my frosting ready to roll, I'm going to fill it in. This is where you'll want to wrap your canvas as well, because this portion of your painting does go off of the canvas. And we're just going to get, you can see how I switch my brush often from toe to flat, toe to flat. I'll use all my bristles sometimes, like right here I flatten my brush to get that nice edge. Paint needs some water, so I'll dip my brush in my water and then incorporate that water into my paint. Come down here, and again I'm going to use all my bristles. Flatten my brush. That gives you a really good clean edge when you flatten your bristles. A lot of times people are afraid of these big brushes and they're new to painting, but they actually give you tons of good coverage and can give you really, really clean lines as well. But up here you can see I might switch to the toe to get into that portion, because that's a little bit too little for my brush to reach. Then I go to the flat when I can. So you can just switch back and forth with those two approaches with your brush. Flat and toe. Get this little part in here as best we can there. Okay, looking good enough to eat, huh? Okay, now we're going to shadow while it's wet. That's when you want to shadow, so a nice bit of paint on one edge of our brush here. Okay, and we're going to follow our donut. And look at this frosting just pop. I mean, look at how amazing and necessary that line is for the overall success of the piece here. Really makes a difference. This is one of those steps that is frustrating for a beginner artist, and a lot of times in our classes, depending on the age of the artist, we encourage them to just outline with these steps. But always try to do this first before you just give up and go to outlining. This portion we're going to shadow right there because our little sloth friend is casting a shadow. Okay. We're also going to shadow along the rim there, so we kind of do this almost full square, but not completely. Okay, it's coming along. Now we're going to go around our sloth where it's casting a shadow. Go around this portion, okay? Not up in the hair area. We're just going to go around here and down to the end of that arm here. Nice shadow. What do you guys think? I think that we could stop right now and have the cutest painting ever. Okay, loving it. Let's rinse out and move on to our cute sloth. I'm gonna get myself some more white paint because I just really ran through that white quick. This is a light piece, so I went through that white pretty fast. make sure all those fun colors that we use, that turquoise and that brown and that pink, are out of your brush before we dive into our sloth, okay? Now this heart shape face is going to be left white. We're not going to paint it. We're not going to touch it unless we have to. If we get paint in there and we have to clean up, we will. Otherwise, we're not going to even paint in there at all. So I'm going to take some white over to my gold color, and I'm going to lighten this generously, okay? This is the color of my sloth. And again, just like we have done the whole time, I'm keeping some of the darker value, that darker gold, so that I can shadow with it, okay? Once I have my color, I'm going to start to fill in my sloth. Keeping in mind, I'm going to try my best not to have to fill in the white face, because my canvas is white, and it's just a step I can avoid if I am careful. Again, I go to the toe of my brush to get up in those little hair pieces. We've got body, you can go right over those lines. They're just helping us know where that donut hole is, center of the donut. And again, there's no outlining in this piece, so we want to try and keep our edges as clean as possible to avoid filling the need to outline. Okay, come down to our cute little feet here, or our hands, sorry, these are hands. Try and get a nice clean edge there. Now we're doing our best, right? That is the key. And I tell people all the time, if you can walk away saying you did your best, then that's all you can do. And improvement comes with time and practice. Fill those in. I love the color of this sloth, this sort of yellow goldish color is so fun to me in contrast to everything else. It's hard to have a contrast when you have that donut color. But I think that this is a fun way to help our sloth stand out. Do these little foot there. Then we've got the tail that's peeking over here. Make sure we don't forget that. Okay, so again, it just moves, right? We just move it along. Okay, same thing as we've done all throughout. We're going to dip the edge of our brush in that darker gold that we saved, and now we're going to go around our sloth with that. And really, this is when those cleanup lines start to take in effect. You want to focus on going all the way to the edge and getting it all cleaned up as much as possible. Got mine traced in this sort of dark lead pencil, so I can still see my lines. The downside of that is they're harder to cover up. So if you're fighting to see your lines but they're covering up, just know that it's you just have to choose, right? So right here we're gonna do our best to kind of come on the toe of our brush and then wrap around this portion of our sloth that's stuck in our donut. Clean it up as best we can all the way up. Okay. come around here. These sections are tricky because they're just so little. This is when you're probably going to struggle to stay out of that white portion of the painting that we were trying to avoid doing another layer or painting it at all, but it's okay. It's okay if we have to go and clean it up. Not a huge deal. So just getting all of these sections in, we're kind of just shaping out our sloth, right? Giving it a defined head, defined arms, all those things. We are defining our sloth. Keep loading your brush anytime you need to, and then diluting that paint whenever it starts to feel thick and sticky. Ask yourself, am I painting with Elmer's glue? Does it feel like I'm painting with Elmer's glue? And if it does, that's an indication that you need some water on your brush. So we're going to do the same technique here on all portions of our sloths. We got to do this foot that's hanging out the back here, and of course our little tail as well. Looks pretty good to me. Let's wash that brush out. Got our sloth. This is when, if you have any cleanup you need to do, we'll just take some white. Make sure my brush is clean. I didn't swish it around enough. Swish that. Take some white anywhere that you need to do some cleanup. Or if you have some pencil line that you need to try and cover up, this is a good time to do that. And reshape that heart face shape that he's got, or she. Let's see here. Try and get some of these pencil marks out. White is going to be your best bet to do that. Okay, we've got white on our brush already, so we're going to make a little bit of gray just by taking a touch of black. It doesn't take much black, guys, just a little touch. And we'll make us some gray. And we'll go ahead and fill in those little eye patches with this gray. And this gray is fun because it's kind of an unexpected choice here on our sloth to go with gray when we've got this lighter sloth color. But I just like that. I like to do the unexpected sometimes. It's fun. Fun little surprise and a fun contrast to the rest of our sloth. Okay, so I'll come around here. Again, being as careful as I can, knowing that I'm going to try and clean my edges as I go, right? On this other side, got a little bit of white in there, but that's okay. Just kind of blend it in. Becomes part of our painting. here. I'm just sticking with this medium flat brush. That's working for me. Of course, you can use whatever you feel you need to. Before I move on, I'm going to go into just a touch of black. I don't want too much, just a little touch so that I can add a little shadow around here too. So I'm just keeping up with my, let's kind of pull some of this down. Got a little thick right there. Keeping up with my shadow consistency in all of my pieces of this painting. They all kind of tell the same story. Right around. Let's see if I can come back up here. I want to go as close to the edge as I can. It's kind of tricky because you've got that kind of going into each other a little bit. Here we go. The same thing on our other eye patch here, all the way around. Brush is getting a little dry, so I'll add some water to it. Just follow it with that edge. This is another one of those steps that if this is really giving you grief, you can try to just outline this. But give this technique a try first so you can at least say you tried, right? Gave it a good effort. I'm going to darken this one up a little bit because I want it to match the one I just did. And that one's a little darker. Especially this area that curves right here. It's kind of tricky for me to do this without moving my canvas. I would typically move my canvas quite a bit. I'm kind of stuck here recording, so got to maneuver my body a bit awkwardly. Okay, this is looking fantastic. We're going to switch to a detail brush for a minute here, and we're going to put our sprinkles. I can hear my sprinklers outside, so I'm thinking sprinklers. We're going to put our sprinkles in with white paint first, okay? That way when we go through with our color, it really pops. So I'm going to start right here and just kind of have a little half-C sprinkle sticking out. You can do really big sprinkles, you can do smaller ones, whatever you want. You can skip the sprinkles even. Put one right there. Got one kind of coming off canvas right here. I like the big sprinkles, so I'm going to go with those. You're just painting these long, squished circle looking things. The biggest thing you want to avoid when you're painting sprinkles is to have all of them facing the same direction, laying the same way. Remember, if you were to put sprinkles on anything, they would fall wherever they land in all random directions. So try and do that. If you think too much about it, you're going to get a pattern going, and then it's not going to look natural. So you want to just keep that in mind and just keep things as random as you can. And they don't all have to be the same size. They don't all have to be spread out the same. They can be different. You can have little pieces of them because, you know, when you put those sprinkles out of the jar, a lot of times they are all kind of broken up in little bits and stuff. So if you have some weird looking ones, just keep in mind that's probably more normal than you think. Then we have one coming out right here. And then one right there. Okay, so we're gonna just let those dry and then we'll put our color on them. While they dry, we're gonna put our long fingers on our sloth. We're just gonna do these little triangles. See what I'm doing here? I'm just swish back and forth, just 3, okay? 1, 2, and 3. You want them to kind of curve in like that, okay? So we'll do it again on this one. 1, 2, and 3. And then you just paint all the way across the base of that arm. Fill those in, and we can do another layer. So this is just one layer. We'll do it right here. 1, 2, 3. Fill it in. Okay. You can do more than 3 if you want. If yours are spacing a little bit different, do what you need to do, you know. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. We'll let those dry for a minute and then we'll go through and we'll do another layer so they really pop. Okay, let's go ahead and wash that out. And I'm going to go back to my medium flat and I'm going to paint in my eyes. So I'm going to get some black paint here. I'm going to do some circles, and circles can be tricky, so be kind to yourself. I'm going to do one right here. I'm going to try to just like that, just around one way, pick it up, go the other way. Okay. Clean it up a little bit if you need to. There we go. Same, a little too much paint on that one. Same thing right here. I curve around. All right, now I'm gonna get black paint on my detail brush and I'm going to paint in a cute little nose right here in the center. This is kind of like your rounded triangle shape. It's upside down triangle. You can obviously change the shape if you would like, but this is what I am going with. Just think of a rounded edge slice of pizza. That's what I always think of. I'm a big pizza fan, so that's what I always refer to. And then we're going to give our sloth a little side smile. I like to do these side smiles because it takes the pressure off of getting that center perfect smile, and it's still super cute, super fun. All right, so I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to go grab my medium flat. I'm going to make sure it's just got clean water in it, and it's damp. I'm going to run my fingers down it like that. Okay. And I'm going to put some white paint on the edge of it, and I'm going to start to highlight. I'm going to put these highlights in throughout my sloth and my donut. These little highlights will help everything pop. As it dries, it will make a huge difference. Put one in the back there. And we've got one the forehead. We're just going to swoosh around like that. It comes down and we'll go up in there. We're going to do edge on the tail. Then we're going to do some in our donut coming down here. So again, this is just a damp brush with some white on it. Okay, that's all this is. So if it gets dry, I just add some more water to it. Okay, and now I'm going to do a nice big highlight down the side of my donut. Just following, or frosting, following the shape of the frosting all the way down. I can go right through my sprinkles. Oh, these sprinklers outside are causing me to think I'm painting sprinklers. You can go right through them because they're dry. If they were wet, you wouldn't want to do that. Okay. All right, switching back to my detail brush. I'm going to put some white on it and do another layer in the little fingers here. I really want these to pop, and they need another layer to do that because they are against this light background. So take the time to put that extra layer in. And even 3 if you still feel like you can't see them very well. Depending on how thick your paint is, you might need to do a 3rd layer. And that's just part of the process, is figuring that out and then working with it. Okay, while I have the white on my brush, just try and smooth out some of those thick spots. This is why I don't like to fill large spaces with a little detail brush, because it leaves those strokes behind. That can be kind of frustrating. Okay, so now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to pick the sprinkles that I want to be solid white, and I'm going to do another layer so that they stand out as well. So that one's going to be white. I think this one right here I'm going to do white. Okay, this one right here, I'm going to let it be a white sprinkle. And then this one right here. So you see we do a nice thick layer of white on there so that they're nice and seen and they have good coverage. Now I'm going to highlight my nose and put just a cute little smiley face shape at the base of each eye. Guys, it makes such a difference. It's one of my favorite new things to do, is add that. Okay, now we're going to do our sprinkles, and we're going to use the darkest value of our pink and our turquoise to do that. Okay, you can add a touch of white for coverage, but keep it on the darker side, especially your pink, because your donut is that lighter pink, right? So pick which sprinkles you're going to have pink. I'm going to do that one. Come down here and do this one, and these can be super random. Again, we don't want to create any kind of pattern, anything like that. this one in. Okay, and we'll also do this one pink. You can see we've got two pinks together. You might think, oh, that's a terrible idea. But again, I want to keep it random. I don't want it to look like I really thought through what color each sprinkle was and what to put together and what not. Okay, I want it to look more natural. Okay, so we have that one. And then the last one that's pink is this one right here. Okay, and I'm going to rinse that out of my brush. And the last color we have is our turquoise. Again, you can add a bit of white for coverage, but make sure that's a little darker than your background color so that it really has that contrast. Okay, and then all the other ones, of course, are going to be this fun turquoise color. So we're kind of just pulling our palette in full circle here, little bits of each color represented in the sprinkles. So that's kind of fun. And you can definitely, if you want some purple sprinkles, you could mix this turquoise and pink together. It makes a really, really beautiful purple. If you wanted some kind of yellow sprinkle, you could use that gold color that we used to paint our sloth with. But I'm just going to stick to pink, white, and turquoise for my sprinkles. Almost said sprinklers again. All right, perfect. Let's rinse that out. We're going to add a little bit of black. I'm going to put black on my detail brush to our fingers down here. And the reason I want to do this is to help them stand out even more. I told you I didn't want to do any outlining, right? And so we're not going to outline any of our sloth or our donut. You can if you want, but what I do want to do is make sure that the viewer can see these cute little fingers that might get lost in those colors down there. Okay, let's grab our medium flat. Let's flip it upside down, use the bottom of it, make a nice chocolate chip on the bottom of your brush, and then we'll dot in some reflections. I like to do a bigger one and then a smaller one just beneath it. Okay, that's just less paint, less pressure to get a smaller dot. I mean, how cute. That reflection makes a huge difference. Okay, now before we sign our name, I like to just go highlight my colored sprinkles because why not? I'm going to put some white on my detail brush. And I'm just going to go through, and they might still be a little bit wet, and that's okay. But I'm just going to go through and kind of just add a little streak of white in here. It'll brighten them up. It will just add that little bit of fun to your painting. Just like that. And there you go, guys. What a fun painting. So many opportunities to do something different with it, to make it your own, to personalize it. So I hope you did. Don't forget to sign your name. Signing our art is an indication that we're proud of ourselves and we're proud of our work, as we should be. and understanding that we're in different stages of our journey. And so it's okay if it's not perfect, but we did our best. We should sign our name and own it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see your masterpieces. Tag us on social media at My Little Paintbrush, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We drop new content all the time. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.